privatan. Okej. Evo, počeo je stream. Sad došli u novi live stream, kao što naslov live streama kaže da ovo... Tako da tu sam, ne vidite, tu sam ja, samo nešto mi neće kabel, čekajte sam, kabel od mikrofona se tamo, tako, sad imam dovoljno kabela, tako da čuo sam da je Elizabeta umrla. Tako da još nisam tako da sad ne znam šta se točno dešava, to jest možda ovo je neproverena informacija, ali svi mediji su tako pisali. Sad možda je neka glupost, nemam pojma. Ovo je inače privatan live stream, ali moću ga kasnije objaviti, nema veze, dok ga uradim. Tako da ne znam još, mislim, svi pišu o tome. Ja sad ne znam šta se tačno dešava tamo u Londonu. Mislim da je haos neki tamo. Sad ću da upalim live to jest N1 da vidim na N1 šta kažu. Da, šta kažu. Ma, to ja i ne znam šta se tačno sada dešava, kad bi imao neki live tamo na N1 ili negde. Da vam pustim. Vjerovatno imam negdje live, sad ću da vidim da li imam. Baš ću to sad da upalim. Na Eon TV. Na N1, idemo na N1. Tako da, sad ću da, to ne je jedan, mislim da neće nešto mi otvori on, nešto koči. Sad ne znam zašto koči, sad bi trebalo i tata da mi stigne za koji minut, za kojih nekoliko minuta. Tako da, sad ću ponovo da reloadem Eon TV, pa ću sad da vidimo na N1 pa da pustim nešto malo. Tako. Sad ću baš da vidim da li ima na N1 nešto, nekih vesti. Ne. Neću to sada, na N1 idemo. Na N1. Nešto sam pustio Dobro, na N1. N1 idemo da vidimo. Dobro, ovo nije...
Isprobaj me, Gavrilović. Ana Live.
Podne se to desilo. Ne, nego...
Troskopiju. Ana Live u Mirnom.
Dnevnik. U 10. Evo ovdje će vjerovatno biti. Vjerovatno će biti ovdje. pa ćemo da čujemo. Tako da verovatno tako da to je sve automatska vest. Je bilo nekih live-ova. Live-ova je bilo nekih na YouTube-u. Ali to ću vam kasnije pustiti. Prvo ću ovdje da pustim pa ću...
Uvek ostati deo. U godini u zamku Balmoral u Škotskoj preminula je britanska kraljica Elizabeta II. Smena na britanskom tronu posle više od 70 godina, njen sin Charles je novi kralj. A evo i ostalih vesti i tema u Dnevniku. Predsjednik Srbije kaže da Priština pokušava ispod žita.
Tako da idemo sad da vidimo na live-u, gdje je live. Čekajte, otvorit ću novi YouTube pa ću da pustim live. Mada, vjerojatno nema veze. Ne. Samo sekunda da uključim. Baš ovakav jedan tužan za Veliku Britaniju. Baš ovakav, mislim. Sad ću samo da nađem negdje. Evo ga ovdje neki live, sad da možemo da vidimo.
Biću vaš mentor na razvoju biznisa 3 meseca. To je ukratko poenta mog novog programa koji...
Monarch, the world's second longest ruling monarch in history, her reign spanning 70 years. We just received a tweet from the royal family saying the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and the Queen consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow.
This is, of course, something that has been a great subject, her health over the past several years, and certainly this year as well. We just saw her celebrate 70 years, the Queen's Jubilee, something we had never seen before, that a monarch serving 70 years there. But this statement now follows an earlier statement, Robach, that we got from the palace, which was very rare and very concerning to a lot of people, that they said that there was a concern, or doctors had her health, and that she was under medical supervision. People who have watched the palace for years and years know that that was almost an unprecedented statement for them to put out, and because of that, there was a lot of concern about her health. She had been on summer break at her palace there, her castle in Balmoral, her home in Scotland. Her kids are there. Prince Charles is there. Princess Anne, Prince Edward, Prince Andrew, they're there. Prince William did get in a short time later. We're told Prince Harry is on his way, but we also, Robach, saw the last time a public image of her was just on Tuesday.
That's right. She appointed the new prime minister there, Liz Truss, and the other reason why people were concerned, there was a scheduled meeting with top ministers. It was postponed yesterday. Doctors urging the Queen to get rest. Her health had been a growing concern since she was hospitalized in London, you may remember. Back in October, there was a bout with COVID in February. She also missed the opening of Parliament in May for only the third time. And the Queen did turn 96 in April, and we all remember the celebratory Platinum Jubilee back in June. You're looking there, by the way, at a live shot of the Union Jack now flying at half staff, and certainly a much different crowd forming there near Buckingham Palace. Typically we see notices. Sometimes we see births, and this time we're expecting to see, of course, the announcement of the death of the Queen being placed at the gates of both Buckingham Palace and Balmoral as well. So we are monitoring those gates as well. We know that our Maggie Rulli has been on the ground there in Scotland reporting the very latest as we first got word about the Queen's failing health. So Maggie, give us a sense of what things are like there and what you've learned.
Yeah, Amy and TJ, like you guys have said, there have been so many concerns, but I think for people hearing the news for the first time right now, we're in shock. It's almost hard to imagine a world without Queen Elizabeth. She has been such a constant for the past 70 years. Her face on coins, on stamps, just written into the fabric of British culture. But it's more than that. The entire world knows Queen Elizabeth. The vast majority know her as the British monarch, their only British monarch. So today is the end of an era. Today is the end of the second Elizabethan age. And it's hard to overstate just how important this moment is, how historical this moment is. You know, the three of us, we were all there at the Platinum Jubilee. I think that's when I really felt and saw firsthand what the Queen means to this country. The Queen is country. So to lose her today, it's losing a sense of your identity. And I think going forward, not only will there be shock, it is quickly turning to grief, not just here in the UK, but around the world.
And you mentioned there, Maggie, shock and grief. This is a 96-year-old woman whose health has been obviously talked about for some time. She started using a cane. But again, she made it through that bout of COVID earlier this year. And again, at the Jubilee, there were moments, and as we share pictures here, Balmoral, we talk about where she is now, this home that many people, as I bring in our ABC News contributor, Robert Jobson, who's at Buckingham Palace for us. Robert, I actually want to tell you, we heard you in our ear a short time ago. We heard you talking to your sources. And even though she's 96, her health has been a concern for a while, to hear you say the words that your source had told you she's gone, still in some way that's shocking and sends chills.
Well, it's a deeply sad day for the people of Britain and the people of the Commonwealth, indeed, for the world, because, you know, this is an incredible lady that carried out her duty all her life, and in fact was doing her duty swearing in the new Prime Minister just a couple of days ago, which just shows you the type of incredible person that she was. But now the machinations of the Constitution of this country now get into play. There is the Prince of Wales now is the King, and Camilla is the Queen Consort. The situation is going to unfold over the next few days, where the Queen's body will be moved to Holyrood in Edinburgh, and then there'll be a service at St Giles Cathedral. And then the body will be brought down to, it's quite hard actually even saying it, but be brought down to London for the ceremony that will take place here. So we've got 10 days of mourning before the funeral, but this country and the world is in mourning now. And it's we can only reflect on what was a truly incredible reign from an amazing person who was the epitome of duty and dedication of service.
Well, Robert, we know that we will be checking in with your expertise as to what is going to happen over the next few days, but we're showing you here. This is the official royal family website, and you can see now it has gone black with Queen Elizabeth II's birth date in 1926 all the way to her death today in 2022. This website actually even crashed earlier today following the news of the Queen's health concerns. When people went on to check on the Queen and to see what the royal family was saying, an error message actually appeared on the screen reading Gateway timeout, but you can see now the website turning black in honor of Queen Elizabeth II. And of course, we know she was queen for more than half a century, 70 years to be specific. Queen Elizabeth II reigned over a rapidly changing country. The last days of what was once a vast empire, she weathered scandals, both personal and professional, that would threaten the future of the monarchy. But through it all, she ruled with a steady hand and a sincere devotion to the British people. That affection was mutual, a connection that captured so many times that why today Great Britain is a nation in mourning as we see those crowds gather at Buckingham Palace. We have ABC's Terry Moran taking a look back at her life.
She was simply, to millions around the world, the Queen. The most famous woman of her time, from her coronation in 1953 to the outpouring of affection on her Diamond Jubilee, marking 60 years on the throne. So much history, so many indelible moments. Decade after decade, from the Cold War to the computer age, what an extraordinary reign. And for all those years, through all that history, duty is what defined this remarkable woman. She was born in 1926, a little princess, Lilibet her family called her, who was never expected to become queen until her uncle, the Playboy King Edward VIII, abdicated the throne to marry an American divorcee, and her father then became King George VI. The young Elizabeth was suddenly next in line for the throne.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family.
During World War II, the princess did her duty. She was a driver and mechanic on the home front, and she fell in love in those years, a handsome prince, swashbuckling Navy Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten.
Take thee, Philip.
To my wedded husband.
To my wedded husband.
They married in 1947. 5 years later, when King George died, Lilibet became Queen Elizabeth II. Her coronation was an international sensation. But the British Empire Elizabeth inherited was falling apart, all the colonies becoming independent nations. So she helped to create a new realm dubbed the British Commonwealth.
When we were young, it was very easy to take our grandmother for granted. She was just a grandmother to us. I've actually really learned to sort of understand and accept the huge deal that she is around the world.
Elizabeth traveled the world, more than 250 overseas trips, showing how the British monarch could change with the times and shape them, even as she raised 4 children, the most famous working mum in the world.
She was a young woman in a man's world, carving her own way through life and through a job that she, like any of us, don't necessarily have all the preparations you'd like. I think she's done amazingly well.
Queen Elizabeth reigned through over a dozen American presidents and just as many British prime ministers. Her first was the formidable Winston Churchill, proving a savvy stateswoman and a constant leader on the world stage. The years brought their ups and downs. The wedding of Prince Charles and Diana seemed to be a highlight, and Elizabeth watched as her daughter-in-law captivated the world in the 1980s. She was simply, to millions around the world, the Queen. The most famous woman of her time. So much history, so many indelible moments. Decade after decade, from the Cold War to the computer age, what an extraordinary reign. And for all those years, through all that history,
Anne's son in 1977, so that was her Silver Jubilee year. And so that
peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and the Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. We have a lot of coverage ahead of us for the next several hours. Once again, just to recap, Queen Elizabeth II has died, marking the end of the second Elizabethan era. Our Europe Bureau Chief Crystal Gamansing joins us now. Crystal, I can't imagine the mood right now. I mean, I knew that we knew that the Queen was ill. We also knew that she was shying away from public engagements over the past few days. But this, I'm sure, still has come as such a shock to the people of Britain and around the world.
Farah, yeah, not necessarily maybe shock, but with deep, deep sadness. Everyone, as you mentioned, was sort of preparing over the last, even let's just say 6 months, that this was becoming more of a reality. We had a 96-year-old monarch, the longest-serving British monarch, the second longest-serving monarch in the world. And as we watched her, age over the last couple of years and see her, starting to use that walking stick more permanently as of October, and her hunching over a little bit more and really shying away from some of the activities that she just really loved and really enjoyed, even just, the meetings that she would have with people. More of those tasks were being handed to other members of the royal family. So there is great pain that is being expressed now. People understood that after 96 years it was probably going to happen, but the sore sorrow is just immense. You know, people really did love the Queen. Many of us, she's the only Queen we've ever known, whether it's you live here in London or in Canada. Even just think around whatever city you're in, Court of Queen's Bench, for example. There are so many, all of the pictures of Queen Elizabeth that are in the halls of City Hall and in courts and in buildings and arenas. That is the deep, deep history that we've all just had her around. And that's a part of the love and admiration for this woman. You know, during the Platinum Jubilee celebrations, people talked about her like they were family members. They've known her all of their life. They watched her over the years at different events when she would come to Canada or tour the world, and how she would, you know, have those little one-on-one moments as she was doing walkabouts. I've had the pleasure of speaking with many royal commentators over the last 3 years, and they all said how much she would talk about enjoying talking with regular people and just having that moment with them. She was also apparently very, very skilled at making people feel special and seen in those short little moments that she would have with members of the public. So it is a profound sadness right now that we have lost Queen Elizabeth at the age of 96. But, you know, as you mentioned, the fact that we saw that family members heading to Balmoral Castle, we knew that Prince Charles was called very, very early in the day, and then other members arriving in Aberdeen Airport later in the afternoon and then rushing to Balmoral Castle, the summer home of the Queen where she loved to spend her summers. It was a pretty good indication that something was in fact happening. We knew that she had mobility issues, but the fact that we just saw her on Tuesday ushering in a new Prime Minister, asking Liz Truss to form government, her 15th Prime Minister, was very special. And so it almost gave people a sense that this couldn't possibly be the end, that, you know, we just saw her the other day. But if you think about it, Liz Truss, her last Prime Minister, her first, Winston Churchill. So the time that she has gone through and the things that she has seen and the number of major events Queen Elizabeth has steered the world through, not just the pandemic, but pre-construction of the war, seeing another war in Europe with Russia's invasion of